Okay, this is just a short video clip of some evolutions we did at work that involved finding a fire in the basement, advancing the hose line, and really just putting the fire out. Wrote a recent blog for fireengineering.com based on training and how to make it real and meaningful. And it doesn't have to come with a lot of gizmos, a lot of smoke and mirrors is what the blog title is called. So this is going to take you a run through on what we did, how it worked, and what we got out of it. So enjoy. We got an old house. It's actually our old administration building, but it was a house retrofitted into an office. And really, they're familiar with it, but we didn't change the layout. We did block some doors so that they didn't travel through some long areas. We wanted them to get down into the basement, so the stretch was pretty easy considering. This is side A of the building, the front, the side street. The captain had to determine the hose length, the type of hose he was going to bring, and he had to do a 360. Even though he's familiar with the building, he had to identify to us things he was looking for, and how things presented, and how he determined it was a basement fire. And all these things were pretty straightforward. There weren't any monkey wrenches, but it made him think. We asked him, what kind of windows are you looking at? What are you looking for on the back side of the house? What are the things you're considering as you're walking around the house? And it worked out pretty well. It made him think on her feet. This is side B. We noticed a small basement window which they recognized with the well inside it, which is going to be difficult to climb out of if you needed to. We also noticed some utility, and the utility elbow, you can see the conduit right here that we noticed, but there's no box near it, so we can consider that there's some type of electric on that side of the wall. And just something that he took note of. He would normally do that mentally. We made him say it out loud so that we knew what they were thinking and what kind of considerations they were talking about. This is side C, and you can see another basement window down here. You can also see an exterior door right here that they would consider using as well. Really depends on what kind of conditions are showing at the time, how the house is presenting smoke or fire, how they would handle this type of call. We also note that this basement window is directly under this one, and if that were a bedroom window, we've got fire blowing out of that basement window. We've got to think about auto ignition, flame spread considerations directly into maybe a living area or a sleeping room. This is the back side of this building, which is pretty atypical of a residential structure. You're not going to typically see this. It's possible that you could have a great room on the back of a house that's been added on with some high windows, but this is going to be pretty atypical. However, we did want them to point out that this was not typical of a residential structure, because that's an indication to us that there's maybe something going on in this building that's not residential occupant type stuff. That there might be some commercial operations going on there we don't know about, some special considerations, but it's something for them to think about when they do walk around that building. This is side D as in David or dog. We're about right finished with our walk around. We did find another exterior door. We would have them think out loud what they're thinking about with that door. They're going to walk up and feel it, see if there's heat. If there's a window, try and see inside what's on the other side of that door. You can also note the difference in the foundation that indicates where the basement starts and stops. And the difference is here compared to here. We've got a common height and brick run on that side of the house, and here it changes. So it may indicate that we don't have a basement over here and that we do on this side. And it's just something to consider, thinking about where our access points are going to be, where those walls are. This is the AD corner, the Alpha Delta corner of the house, and there's no basement windows on this side of the structure. We do have regular residential windows here. We've also got utilities right here so that we can shut those things off. So just some other things that we just have them. These are things they would do quickly. They would think fast. These would all be in their head as they're walking around the building. But we made them to talk outside, out loud, while we walked around this building, so we knew exactly what they were thinking. And as they came off the truck and prepared to make entry, before they even did the walk around, they made their crew assignments. They put their team together, told them what their task was. So when they came back from the 360, they were ready to go. And this is just a view from the front door on the A side, taking the stretch in, and you can see it's a pretty straightforward stretch. We did have some ancillary functions with some additional teams here and in here doing some just oriented search techniques. But the primary focus of this drill was getting this hose line down into the basement. And you can see we didn't place any crazy obstacles in front of them. We want them to get used to getting that line and manipulating it and get it to the fire fast. We want to get the fire put out as quickly as possible to make conditions better. This just shows one crew, and this is a larger stairwell than what we're going to see in a residential structure, but it still worked for us. This crew happened to take the hose over the railing. They were thinking they had a plan somewhat, and they could feel the knee wall, and they took it over the railing and down the stairs. The first crew that did this drill, if you read the blog, ended up doing their search. They advanced the hose line with 2 guys, and when they got to the stairs, they struggled, and they ended up having 5 guys on the nozzle, which was not conducive to getting that line stretched in an efficient, fast manner. So they had some difficulties with that. Crews later on placed people at the corners, at each bend where the stairs were, and at doors, which increased the speed and efficiency. And it didn't the guys at the front didn't have to exert as much energy getting that hose down to the basement, and they actually found the fire much faster than the other crews. So that was one of the primary points of this drill, was efficient, fast hose deployment, using your manpower effectively, meaning that they're not all in the nozzle. They may be behind you at doors and in corners, and that's where we want them. We want to get that hose line down that basement as fast as possible. This picture just shows that this crew took the line down the stairs and around the bend, and it is going to need to, it's going to take more people to get it down that way. And in a residential structure, you know, we're going to have a much narrower point of access. Here's the door that was on side D, as in dog, when we noticed it. And right here is the wall that stops. That's where the basement stops. And we talked about looking at the foundation and kind of having some ideas about that. But the primary point of this was we didn't use a lot of obstacles. We didn't throw them, you know, into the gauntlet for hose deployment. It was very simple, straightforward. We smoked it up. We gave them, you know, they did the 360. They made a plan, and it worked or it didn't. And the great thing about this drill was once it was all said and done, each crew came out and identified the challenges that they had without us having to point it out. They were able to identify those challenges. They came up with the solutions to remedy it, and they really self-corrected what they did inside, and it paid off. So that's what we did. It's a real simple drill. You can do that in the engine house. You don't have to be in a house for hose deployment. Set up some trash cans, move your trucks around, make them deploy hose around trucks. It's really easy, but it's really important that we get water in the fire as quickly as possible in an efficient manner. And thanks for watching. Take care. Train hard. We'll see you soon.